Known Corrali for over 15 years. So we're just going to start right out because I know we're running kind of late today, and he's blessed us with staying, even though we did run slightly behind. So once again, I'm going to start out with my questions. I designed these perfect questions for him, and Chris is also on live online, and we have his beautiful canine specialist dog, and this is a bomb dog, and so we're gonna ask a bunch of questions for Halo. So everyone, please say hi to Halo. So this is Halo. So once again, and I do apologize. So can you share a journey, Kevin, that led you to become a bomb tech specialist and work with canines?
Okay, after high school, in college, was kind of floating around, didn't know what to do with myself. Finally, at one point, I needed a job, so by mistake, I kind of applied for the Border Patrol and did a short stint with Border Patrol, Elmwood, New Mexico. Then I was getting married at the time, getting ready to get married, and I figured that wasn't the right place to go or be and be, that far away from home, and she didn't want to do that, so needed a job real bad and applied for a PD and got hired. And never wanted to do the police work, but
Okay.
trying to find my calling.
So Kevin, one thing I wanted to ask you, you had said that now did you serve in the military?
Uh, no,
No, Kevin did not serve. Serve, he did not, but he winked at me, and I don't know how to take that right now if he's trying to make the moves on me. So
he
my
handled it.
so my second question is this. So you went to college, right?
Went to college. Yep.
So what was your major in college?
I was going to be a phys ed teacher, but at the time, it was during Proposition 2.5, and I didn't see any positions going to be open. So there it was. I did graduate, believe it or not.
So where'd you go to school?
Westfield State College.
Now, I personally know you and I've heard some stories from you and stuff. Now, you were an athlete, right? You ran or played something?
Yeah, I was actually in high school as a six-time state champ in distance running, and the reason why six, because it was indoor, outdoor, and cross country track. And then at college, I was a two-time All-American.
Wow, that's impressive. Obviously, you're fit, and I could still see at your age now you still stay in shape. So you know what? Let's dive deep into this right now. So, can you share your journey that led you to become a bomb tech specialist and work with canines? Like, why did you pick canines? Mostly bomb tech specialists are solo because people don't want to use an animal or something like that. So, what made you go to this type of field?
Okay, when I was with the police department, when I first started, I went year on, I was on the color guard. A couple of years later, I was on dive team. I'm a deep water ice diver and all that.
Really?
From there, I was on loan to the academy as a drill instructor,
Now, which academy?
New Hampshire.
Okay,
New
great.
Hampshire. Uh, After being on loan to them, I came back. I did a lot of teaching up there, mostly defensive tactics and firearms. So I have a massive background in firearms. So the PD. Then I went to detectives. I think I was in the top two of the fastest to go to detectives in the history of the city. From there, it wasn't my calling. I wanted to be out in the street. But after detectives, I wanted out. The PD came to me. I
So,
had
whoa, 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 whoa. You can't run that fast. So, I find it interesting. You became a detective that fast, and then all of a sudden, Kevin, you wanted out. Why have the dream to become an officer? As I state to Chris, and he's online, but why all of a sudden get to a position that you've basically gotten a higher rank that you want to get out of?
Okay. What I was saying when I was getting out of it, I might have been misled a little bit. I wanted out of detectives.
Oh, okay,
From there, it was just too much. I'm not a desk guy. I want to be on the street.
okay,
So
all
I'm a
right,
street guy.
all right.
So I was asking to get out of detectives. The PD came to me because I have a huge background in firearms and teaching. So while I was doing that, I was also teaching at the academy all the time. So they came to me and asked me if I'd start the training division. So from there, I became the armorer, which is teaching people how to shoot all the time. We had an indoor range, so we're constantly training guys with shooting. I was doing a
So
lot
I'm
of
sorry for interrupting. As you're stating, you've trained people. Are you talking law enforcement or civilians?
law enforcement.
Only law enforcement at that time.
Only
Okay.
law
Okay.
enforcement. So as the PD sent me to every armor school, every instructor school I could think of. So from there, I figured, okay, firearms. I started doing, on the side, some commercial fireworks shows. And then
So not only firearms, you deal with fireworks?
yeah, you didn't know that, did you?
No, I did not. I did not know you were a fire tech specialist.
So
Now everybody knows where to make a call. Kevin Crowley, get your fireworks.
playing that, so I was doing all the fireworks and stuff like that. And then I had a friend of mine that was a detective with me, and we were working together for years. He came to me and says, "Hey, the PD sent me to a bomb school." He goes, "Can you find some equipment?" And I was like Klinger on MASH. I'm always wheeling and dealing with people and finding stuff. So I says, "Yeah, no problem. Under one condition, I can train with you." We
Really?
started training together. We did a little training. Then we were going down to Boston PD, who is phenomenal. They helped us all the way through. At the time, there was only one bomb squad in New Hampshire. So if the PD needed a bomb squad, we'd have to wait all this time. So my buddy and I actually started the bomb squad in Nashua. So we were training with Boston. I still hadn't been certified. Our certification comes from the FBI.
So what year was this? Too many bombs. Too many bombs by the head, Krause, huh?
Yeah. So I figured, hey, I'm dealing with firearms, fireworks, and explosives. So hey, if it goes bang a boom, it's mine.
All right, all right.
So from there, I was sent down to Huntsville, Alabama for quite a while to the FBI bomb school to become a bomb tech. Then from there, I had to go back where we get certified for biological, chemical, nuclear devices.
Really?
But if it's nuclear, I'm retiring that day. So here's the start of the National Police Bomb Squad. Was there. So then we established ourselves. We were federally certified and everything else. So I saw a need for a dog because there was only 2 dogs in the state of New Hampshire. Now, every politician, where do they come? They come to New Hampshire first. So they only need 2 bomb dogs. So I said,
Exactly,
"All right,
yeah.
we need a dog." So I went to the chief, and I says, "Hey, chief, we need a bomb dog." And he goes, "We don't have the money." So me being me, I says, "All right, I'll make you a deal. I will sell you my chocolate lab that I had, that I raised, and my kids raised. My son, Sean and Shayla, spent a lot of time raising this dog, with a stipulation is I'll sell him to the PD for $1. If he certifies and gets back when it's time to retire, I buy him back for $1." So the chief thought I was nuts, which he's probably right.
Yeah, we can validate that.
Yeah. So from there, I says, I want to go to the best dog program in the country.
Yeah.
And that was, believe it or not, Connecticut State Police has the best bomb dog program.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So I brought my dog Boomer, so you can kind of tell that I already had an idea that this is what I wanted to do with a dog named Boomer.
Yeah.
So 3 months later, we go to certify, and the dog has to be certified to a forensic chemist on the molecules they're hitting on. So these weren't your typical bomb dogs you see out there.
Yeah.
So my first dog was actually certified for forensic chemist, Dr. Henry Lee, the guy that worked the OJ trial.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that's how
Familiar
I
with the
got into
name.
it, because
Okay.
we needed a bomb dog in the city.
Wow. Jesus, that's a lot of training and a lot of different changes of life that you did in such a short time. Like everyone that I know has the same job, and that's all they've done. So that is incredible.
That was some quick talking too.
No, that was great. So what makes a bomb detection dog unique compared to other service dog? And what specific training do they undergo?
Yep. Okay, there's 2 ways of training a service.
Well, what's the type of specific dogs? Like what's the dog that you prefer to use first?
Well, there's 2 ways of training a dog. There's food reward and play reward. Most labs are food reward. They like to eat, just like me. Okay, and the other one is play reward. So the reason why I like labs, and probably about half the dogs out there are labs, because they're friendly. You can work them around crowds. I've worked, and I'll get into that. I've worked Super Bowls. I work around people all the time, major conventions, billionaires conventions.
Yeah.
That's the stuff that I do. The other dog is usually the Belgian Malinois. Now, they're Malinois. In the business, we call them alligators or Malinois for a reason. Phenomenal working dogs, but pretty hard to get them, keep them around people, because they can be aggressive.
Very aggressive, or just, is there a reason why they're more aggressive?
they were basically bred that way. If you see the police in your search or dogs that are using for bite work,
Yeah.
they're either going to be a shepherd or a Belgian Malinois.
Oh, hold on. Chris is online with that. Is that true, Chris? You had a shepherd, right?
That's absolutely true. And also they're starting to mix them together now too, because the males are a little friggin' nuts, and I prefer a shepherd.
Yeah, I can't stand Chris's shepherds because they always came after me and scared the crap out of me. Not physically, but they would growl at me, and it did scare me.
Chris, you got some great dogs.
I thought you were gonna say he's got a great friend. All right, all right. So, what type of specific training do you go
Right.
through for them?
There's actually 9 explosives, but there's all kinds of questions about 30,000 different explosives, variations of it. So the dogs that I'm using are food reward. So there's the food and the play reward. We actually use the food reward. So we put them through all these tests and everything else. The company that I actually now work for is a private company, and we have over 700 dogs in the country.
Really?
So
Jeez.
we have several training facilities. One's in Windsor, Connecticut. And they'll start the dog for you. So we'll go out and we'll find get these dogs from Seeing Eye, Guiding Eyes, Puppies Behind Bars, or where Halo came from, was Axe out of Ospey, New Hampshire. So we'll get the dogs that are, sorry, Halo, but flunkies that usually, there's one reason or another that they won't make it. Halo was just too energetic to say it. If that was, did I say that right?
Yeah, that was perfect.
Close
Don't
enough.
ask me for big words.
Hey,
That has more than 2 syllables. You got me beat, bro.
I went to a state school.
Uh,
So you kind of.
I went to a community, so what can I say?
Community what?
Don't worry about it. Stick to the dogs, Crowley.
So, so where was I going with this? So with these dogs, we actually start them in what they call imprinting. So once you get the dog on the smell and you've done it so many times, they never forget the smell.
Really?
Yeah. So and then we'll usually get them after a month of them being imprinted, and some minor stuff, and then we take them from there and we polish them up.
Okay.
This is actually my 4th dog. I had Boomer, Wiley, Patrick, and Halo.
And they all pass?
All passed. Yeah.
Thank you for their service. Thank you for the service on that. No, that is interesting. So one of my other questions is the operational differences of the animals you have. So when I say that, how does the work of a bomb detection dog in a private security setting differ from that of a combat zone? Because you have gone out of this country. I'm just watching the words I'm saying because I know a lot of stuff I can't say because you're privatized. But
Right now
yeah.
is I actually did 3 tours over to Afghanistan for a federal agency, and that's about as far as I can go with that.
Okay.
And the difference is if you're going overseas, the qualifications for that dog and yourself have to be pretty stringent. So there's a lot of extra testing to go with it.
Okay. So one of my questions about that though, and when I'm asking about a combat zone, so as Halo's just sitting in here, it's me, you, Robbie the robber. He's sitting here, Chris is on the line, they're hearing stuff. But now if you're in a combat zone, isn't there bombs, missiles, and things that they're hearing all the time? How does an animal that's like a family animal dog have that design in them per se to come back home and be normal and hear a muffler backfire or hear something loud? Like,
Great question. They don't always come back that way.
really?
My Wiley Coyote, he came back with some issues. I couldn't work him when I got him back for a while, but then you slowly work him back into it.
So how would you do that though? Like what do you, just more family time?
Family time, praise, the way you're feeding them and everything else. So
Wow.
when I'm talking, to get back to it a little, when I'm talking with the food reward, all my dogs don't get fed out of a bowl. So all the food comes right out of my hands. So that coming out of my hands means I have to put out explosives for them to find. So they're food on reward. So when they find something, they have different indicators. All right. My dogs will sit there and look at me and say, "Hey, dummy, feed me." All right. So they get fed. So all my dogs aren't bowl fed, they're fed right out of my hands. Now, Chris can, I'm sure, can talk a lot more about the play reward. Because with the shepherd, I'm sure.
Chris, do you have a difference from what Kevin is speaking on, from a play reward to a food reward? Now, you dealing with Mass Canine State, did you guys have play or food?
Well, patrol dogs and or dogs finding drugs are all play reward. It's just playing with the ball, recognition, just give them love. Nothing's punishment. Everything's reward. Um, it's very difficult. I think I was talking to you about this the other day. It's very difficult for what your buddy does because, he has to put out explosives. He has to hand feed the dog. There's a lot of work to it, and you're not just throwing food on the ground and feeding the dog like we do, which is difficult in itself. But and you're taking care of the dog on your work days. You're taking care of the dogs on your days off. But ours is play reward, like what we use for drugs to everything you said was really good. But like in printing, we'd basically go to a hotel, get some of their old towels, we'd wash them, and we'd take like a hand towel, you'd roll it up really tight, and you'd put a couple strings on it, and to make it tight and something that you don't want it to be flopping around. And when they found drugs, my dog would go over, sniff, look around, he'd find the drugs, but his indication was he'd scratch at it. He'd like tear it up and scratch at it. And what you're doing, you think you're tricking the dog, but you're not. And from behind, when he wasn't looking, you throw the towel, like say it's a dresser, you throw the towel at the dresser drawer where he just indicated. So now the dog's thinking, I found the drugs. I pointed out the drugs, and out comes this towel, and now my boy gets to play with me. So you grab the towel, and that's literally all it is. It's a hand towel, because you don't want to use toys like we have tug toys and stuff like that, because it will get destroyed fast. Plus, we usually in the beginning imprint them with the odor of the drugs. That's how we do it. And so you're just playing with the dog. So he's got a towel that's usually about a foot long, rolled up like maybe 2 inches. And he's got it, and you're just dragging him around and pulling on him and telling him good boy, and just that's all it is. It's just play, and he wants that towel more than he wants anything else in the world.
Huh.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting, the different tactics that you guys have. So Carl, let me ask you something.
Stop you for a second there.
I was going to ask
All right.
about the food though,
You're
but go
gonna
ahead.
ask about the drug dogs and explosive dogs. Can you actually have them working both? No, we don't do that for the simple reason, if it's a drug dog, it can do search work, but you don't want to cross-train the dog with drugs and explosives, because if the dog sits on something, you don't know if it's either drugs or explosives.
So
That's why
first,
one.
First, I'm going to explain something to you, Crowley. It's Security Tales. I run the show. The second thing is, I was going to ask that question, but it was question number 8. Can you both work together and compatible on a search team? But since you took that question from me, I will move forward with my other question. So one of my questions, you go ahead.
And Chris, you're lucky you don't have your dog here, because I mean, if it was a dope dog, he'd probably sit on Felipe, but not for having dope, for being one. Go ahead now. Take over.
Chris, anything to say about that?
I think they both sit, and they're not even trained.
Yeah. So listen, can you walk us through the training and process for a bomb detection dog, and how do you prepare them for the unique stresses of a combat environment? So there's a 2-part question on that.
Part of it is you have to pick the right dog. All right. If you have a dog that's, kind of just wants to lay around, it's not going to make it overseas. You need a hard charging dog. That's where your Shepherds and Belgian Malinois usually work much better, because they're better in heat and everything else. So if you're going to be looking for a dog to go overseas, you're going to want that hard charging dog, whether it's a Shepherd, Mallee, or a Lab. So you can't use every dog to go overseas.
Okay.
So you're looking for a certain type of dog, the personality of the dog. I had my dog that I did 3 tours with. It didn't care for people or anything else. His only function was that dog just loved to work and just loved me for some reason.
Exactly. What is
It
that
was-
reason? So one of my questions is though, it's basically how do you prepare them for it though? Like I understand and I'm listening to Chris and I'm like, okay, he throws this toy and now it's playtime with them and you it's food. How do you still prepare them for something like this though?
I bring them
And
to my fireworks shows.
you bring them to the fireworks
Yeah,
shows?
so they get used to noise. It doesn't bother them or anything else. So you want to get them in environments that aren't always the nicest out there.
Okay.
As in the fireworks shows, most dogs don't like noise. So we'll start them out with, say a 22 caliber and we'll bring them up high there. So they just get so used to it. So as we start them, say if you want to get them used to a firecracker, what
Yeah.
you'll do is you'll set up some firecrackers and every time a firecracker will go off, we'll give them a little kibble or something so it becomes natural to them. So they're not afraid of it. Now, you can't get all dogs to do that.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Great answer. I appreciate that. How important is the bond between a handler and their dog? And how does that relationship affect their performance in the field, in any type of field?
Right, that's the most important thing is the bond you have with your dog. Let's put it this way, my wife accused me of liking the dog more than her. Let me refrain that, my ex-wife. She was so right. It's so important, bond.
I don't support anything he says. I have an ex-wife, but it's all good. No, no, not at all. Not at all.
No, it's huge with the
Yeah.
dog, and I'm gonna let Chris talk about this a little too, is that bond is huge. I mean, I can't go anywhere without Halo following me. It's just, that's the biggest key with explosive, with labs, mostly, because I mean, they're so gentle and everything else.
Okay. All right.
Chris, you want
Great.
to follow on that?
Well, Chris is part of my co-host. We're asking you. You're our co-host. If it's something we're going to involve Chris with, we'll go back and forth. So listen. So I know Halo. I know. So what psychological effects do you see in dogs that have worked in high stress environments? You explained it, war. They come back stressed out. But have you ever heard or dealt like with a dog that has to be put down because of the position that he was placed on to deal with this?
My attitude towards that, if I put that dog in that situation, I'm gonna keep that dog and I'm gonna work on it as hard as I can. But the dogs do get PTSD, whether you believe it or not, they do. I had my best dog for searching was Wiley, and it came back with some problems. And then you just spend a lot of time, and it's a slow process with, basically wanting even closer with them.
Okay. So this one also went out to you, Chris, just due to the fact that I know the Mass State Police and you lost a fellow officer. Your K9 had passed. So would you like to discuss any of that and how, like, psychological effects, that the dog went through or anything?
Are you talking when the handler dies or the dog dies?
The dog, you being your dog guy, because I remember the big thing that you guys did for your K9. So I'm going both ways. I'm sorry, I'm going both ways with you.
Well, yeah, I know that. So, yeah, when my dog passed, I actually just lost. I just lost my second one January of last year, and it's unbelievable. When you just when you think about it, you talk about it. Like one time, so when I lost my first dog, one time I was in court and I was testifying about a track he did and talking about the track and this, that, and the other thing, and talking about the dog, and I know they heard it because I heard it. And it was probably like at least a year and a half later, and I'm talking on the stand, and how you hear your voice crackling and shit. You're like, you could hear it because you're like on the verge of like start crying because you're talking about your dog who died like a year ago, and you're talking about him and you're thinking about him. In fact, the day I put him down, I wrote a letter about my dog, and it was just something I wrote in the parking lot. It was in a parking lot of our skating rink. It was snowing out, and I was making the decision to put him down because he had hypertension and stuff like that. And I wrote this letter, and it ended up going viral. It was translated into like over 20 different languages. I was on, like, it came up on
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
Barstool Sports. Carmen Sacchetti, I think, interviewed me in the family. It was translated in Germany, Italy, Netherlands. It went all over the world, and stuff like that. But yeah, the losses. I mean, I got pictures everywhere of my dogs. I got my ashes of them. I got little people that I don't even know. I have like 3 of them have sent me portraits of my dog. The first one that died, and I have since wrote another letter about my other dog, but I've had it for about 6 months, and I got to get around to posting it. I'm not quite ready because I was even closer probably to my second dog. My second dog was a great dog and acclimated very well to being a family dog, but you can't imagine it, because we all work a decent amount. We all work more than 40 hours a week, because that's how you make ends meet. And so if think about it, you're with the dog every day you work, and you're with the dog every day which you're at home, and of course you're going to treat them well and treat them like they're everything to you. So it's it still bothers me to this day, and I can't even tell you, it must be 10 years since I lost my first one.
So when this occurs and happens, is there an outlet for you?
No, it's, you just,
You self deal with it?
yeah, you just deal with it, and you move on. And when Felix died on January 3rd, I had somebody come to the house, and we were carrying, the last month or so we're carrying him, but his attitude was great. And but I hadn't planned on it. Just I was going to wait, but one thing led to another, and I ended up grabbing another shepherd in February, and brought home a black shepherd who's now my everything. And he sleeps with me in the bed, and he takes up the bed, and if he's on me, I'm like, if he's in my spot, I'll just kind of sit in the corner or whatever. He's everything, and like he says, he goes everywhere. I can't go to the bathroom. I can't go to the bath. I go to the bathroom, and no matter what I'm doing, he's sitting there laying on the floor waiting with me.
No, definitely. So,
It's just perfect.
Hmm.
I mean, I think all good handlers go through the same kind of thing.
so Kevin, can you share a memorable or impactful experience you had with your dog while you were out of the country?
Well, there's been quite a few, but probably the problem, I was working again over in Afghanistan, and I was searching a fuel truck, 18-wheel fuel truck, and it wasn't on the normal schedule of when I would be searching. So when I get out there, I always had an overwatch, somebody watching over me, and we got the driver out, and I brought Wile E. Coyote around the truck, and he brought his paws up by the driver's seat. So he was actually standing on his back. He came back down, and the indication for my dogs are they sit and look at me. And then they kind of look and say, "Hey, dummy, feed me." So the dog came down, sat. So I yelled over to my overwatch to say, "Okay, be careful." So the dog indicated that there was something on by the driver, probably on the floorboards. From there, I went over to the driver, brought the dog to the driver, and the dog sat on the guy's feet. All right. So right away, I knew it was explosives, and I knew he had something on his feet, smell. So this is what I'm saying. My dog's working on trace amounts. So from there, we pulled the gentleman aside. We brought in a EOD bomb tech to search that the next morning. I was considered essential personnel, so they wouldn't let me do that part of the job anymore. And before we brought in the bomb tech, the agency came out with explosive swipes. They swiped the guy's feet and the floorboards and tested for TNT positive.
Really?
Yeah. So you're dealing with 18-wheel fuel truck.
So the question is, did it have a bomb on it, or was
No,
he
what
just
we
somebody that
surmised-
handled it?
Yeah, what we surmised was the person had walked through a place that had, it was on his feet
Yeah,
where there was explosives there.
really.
I've had other instances where I had to search, um, the search people and I had the dog sit right down on the person.
Huh.
And then once we did an investigation, the Afghani person was actually working, unbeknownst to us, was working on US vehicles, taking them apart and salvaging.
Yeah.
And this was on vehicles that had blown up. So it was on his clothes. So that's what I'm saying. My dogs are working on trace amounts.
Hmm.
That's one of the reasons why they came to me and asked me to go overseas.
Uh, Huh. That's very interesting, and especially that he can make that distinction in that determination that it was stuck to his feet and the guy, and then you guys obviously through all that figured it all out.
And yeah, we were actually able to verify that, yes, there was explosive residue right there.
Really. So I had quite a few more questions, but because in the beginning you kept answering and just going on and talking, so one of the ones that really means a lot to me, and it's a sad day for all of us, was the Boston Marathon on April 15, 2013. That was a sad day at approximately 2 p.m. 2:49 p.m. I believe it happened. The Boston Marathon bombing occurred. What specific tasks were you involved with during this incident, if you were? And Chris, you're going to be included in this because I believe you were also active. And how did it emotionally affect you that sad day?
It was a real sad day for me. I was actually working for a private company. I was working on State Street. I basically shut down the building there, told them no one in, no one out. Several buildings, I shut that down. From there, I called friends of mine that had the explosive dogs and sent them in different locations to the BCEC, the big convention center. I sent them to different buildings. I had one of the few cell phones, a flip phone, that actually worked.
The old BlackBerry.
Exactly. And from there, I actually went to, there's an underground parking garage underneath the Boston Common.
Yep.
So from there, I searched that because we're figuring underground, perfect place, perfect hiding spot. And there's a little bit of story behind this because when I searched underground, you had some of the Mass State Police were actually congregating and they were figuring out where they were going on the Boston Common. So was the National Guard were there. Well, as I come up from down below, here comes a box truck driving through the Boston Common.
Huh.
Mass State Police actually stopped it. And two guys were actually asked to exit the vehicle.
Kindly asked to exit the
Kindly.
vehicle, right?
And then I had a lieutenant ask me about, what kind of dog it was. I explained to him it was a service dog. It was for explosives. And he says, we're going to need you to search us. Whoa, time out. I'm working privately. I'm not going to step on anybody's toes. He said, no, I'll take the responsibility, which I wasn't pleased about because, again, I don't want to step on anybody's toes or anything else.
Like toes like Chris, whose
Yeah.
dog does that. Well, his dog's not a bomb dog. Correct, Chris?
See,
I don't
Correct.
know what Chris happened.
Sorry.
Listening,
No, I was unmuted.
What'd you say, Chris?
I was muted. I didn't want any background.
Oh, I said, was your dog's not bomb tech though, right?
Nope. Nope.
Okay.
So, I mean, I didn't want to do it, but I ended up doing that. From there, for the next week, I was calling up my company saying, okay, we need a dog here, there, or anywhere else. And that's where I think I first met you,
Yeah.
was there. We were at the building he was working at.
Yeah.
So they had us in that building.
So we went to the Prudential building, went to a few places.
Yeah, I actually logged the hours. I did 98 hours that week.
Yeah, I remember you guys were
So
there
we
and
were
there. I did 24 that day, went home, came back for another 16. It was nuts.
Yep.
It was literally crazy and it was a sad day. It was all of a sudden everywhere you were at was quiet. It was unbelievable. It was
To watch
sad.
the city just shut down
Yeah.
was something.
So Chris, I know you were there for the bombing. how involved were you with it?
They had enough people. I wasn't there for the actual bombing. I actually searched for the guy after the shooting, and he rammed his truck. We stopped it. So I was there searching houses, searching garages for the actual the brothers.
Huh. Sad day, sad day.
Chris,
So-
you didn't know about the truck in the Boston Common because it kind of kept that kind of quiet.
Oh, you know
Yeah.
now.
Most
So-
people don't know.
So listen, Chris, any questions you'd like to ask Kevin at all?
No, maybe later on. I'd like to talk to about was it vaporweight dogs too, right?
Yes, real familiar with it.
All right, all right,
We'll
One
cover
of
that.
my buddies had a vaporweight dog at the airport.
Yeah,
all right. Now, Chris, I'm going to ask you something personally. I'd love to hear the dedication poem that you wrote for your canine next time you're here in person next week. I would love for people that never heard it. I actually heard it, and it was very well written and definitely an emotional thing. But if you don't mind, that would be a great thing to so everyone could hear it.
All right. If you, I can maybe read it, but if I can get through it. But for anybody who wants to look up, if you just Google "Trooper Goodbye Letter," you'll see me and the Channel 5 interview. I got my mother-in-law put together a book for me that has all the newspaper articles from like Germany, Italy, Netherlands, Czechoslovakia, who all posted it online. So it was pretty cool.
So for the ones that follow me on Facebook, it was called Trooper. What was it, Chris? I'm
Goodbye
sorry.
letter. Trooper
Troopers,
goodbye letter.
Trooper
Trooper.
goodbye, Troopers goodbye letter. And
Yeah.
look it up on Google, and that was written out by Chris. So listen, everyone, I really appreciate Kevin. Once again, I appreciate you coming in and spending some time with me. It's always a pleasure to see you and Halo. On top of that, everyone, I'd like to tell you is you guys be blessed and just do all the right things in life, and you'll always do well. And I appreciate everyone watching. Thank you so much. Robbie the Robber, you want to say goodbye?